the NBA has just gotten to a point where whenever a player does it, everybody in the crowd boos them. I mean, players can get fined for flopping in the NBA, but there's a change that I propose to stop guys from Marcus Smart, the flop god, getting their way every single call. So here's what I propose to stop flopping. It'll be kind of like fouling out, except I'll call it flopping out, where instead of getting 6 flops and you're out, you get 3 flops in one game and you are out of the game. And it would honestly be pretty hilarious to see if someone flopped out of a game. I mean, it just sucks that we see guys on a regular basis like LeBron James flop like they got hit by a train every single time somebody touches them. The guy who started flopping was a guy named Fat Lever who played for the Nuggets in the 1980s. In 2012, the NBA made it so that if there was some aggressive flop that a player did, then they would be fined for lots of money. But it still doesn't solve anything because NBA players are only fined for thousands of dollars, and they don't even have to sit out of any games or anything like that. So my proposal would definitely teach a lot of NBA stars a lesson. But while still on the topic, who is the worst flopper of all time? Tell me in the comments. The NBA is openly available to changing rules on a seasonally basis. So if someone reported this idea to the NBA, it could be big and might actually happen. Aside from my opinion, I've heard people say things like flopping should be a technical foul if a ref catches it, or a 2 or 3 game suspension, or some people even wanted to have a flopping review board. I hope this gets figured out soon by the NBA, and whatever the solution is, I'm going to be happy with it as long as flopping doesn't keep happening. Another solution that obviously won't happen but would still be funny is that every time a player flops, they report it to Shaq and a Fool, and Shaq and his buddies have to put it on their show. This article makes a good point. For as long as it's been a foul to barrel into another person on the basketball court, there have been players who attempt to take advantage of the rule by selling contact with the offensive player. Floppers are not a new thing in the NBA, but the outrage over the amount of acting has hit an all-time high. And part of this is that the NBA isn't as rough as it used to be in the 1980s and 90s when refs would only call egregious fouls. So players nowadays take advantage of things like hand checking isn't allowed anymore. But right now, I'll give you my top 5 worst floppers of all time. 1, Marcus Smart. 2, Fat Lever. 3, LeBron LaFlop James. 4, Dwayne Wade. And 5, the great Lance Stevenson. The reason flopping is such a big issue is because it can determine an entire game or even an entire legacy or career. Like the Detroit Pistons might have one more championship if it wasn't for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar flopping in the 1989 NBA Finals. I know flopping mostly happens in soccer, but it does happen quite a bit in the NBA too, and the league really needs to cut down on it and fast, or otherwise NBA fans are just gonna get annoyed with guys acting like they're getting murdered. But do you guys have a different solution to stop flopping? Then if you do, tell me down in the comments. Also, I have a few more questions. What is the worst flop you ever saw? Why do you think Fat Lever decided to start flopping? And why hasn't the NBA cut down on it? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click subscribe, turn notifications on, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm your boy Hyper Hooper Basketball, and we're out.